I believe fear will not define Minnesota's story. Our courage and our love for each other will define Minnesota.
We came to make a change.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to How to Not Lose Your Shit. I'm LaFonda Cousin, a part-time yoga instructor, self-care advocate, and the chief people officer here at Red Wine and Blue.
And I'm Katie Paris, the founder of Red Wine and Blue.
This week, I got to talk to two moms in Minnesota who have been protecting their neighbors against ICE. Steph is the leader of a local Trouble Nation group in the Red Wine and Blue network, and Nina is an immigrant from Somalia, and their friendship is so beautiful. I think my favorite part from this interview was just getting to experience Nina in all of her just calmness. She's just very, very calming. What about you, Katie?
Yeah, listening to Nina was like a meditation. And boy, do we need that anywhere we can get it right now. So hard agree.
Yeah.
I think that my favorite part was it felt like the two of them together were this walking manifestation of everything I keep hearing out of Minneapolis in terms of what is key to standing up to ICE in our neighborhood. So like again and again, whether it is someone who just got involved or a seasoned organizer who's been involved in this kind of thing for decades, what they say, what they tell us is, if ICE hasn't come to your community, get prepared now. And the best way to do it is to knock on your neighbor's door. Like throw a potluck for your block. Like build a sense of strong community now because you're going to need each other later. It just reminded me of the importance of these neighborhood networks, but let's just call it for what it is. Friendships among people near where we live. Sometimes we do have neighbors who we don't see that often. And ICE coming to neighborhoods all across America is a reminder that we got to turn on those friendships because our neighborhoods, as we have seen in Minneapolis, could be about to become just a lot more stressed. And it is a lot hard to get through something stressful if you don't already have that foundation of friendship, that foundation of trust. So it was just really cool to hear about how they already were connected as mom friends. And as a result of doing this together, that friendship has grown deeper. And they look forward to partying together when it's all over.
That kind of stands out too, because we've talked about that before, right? Like the light at the end of the tunnel, what is keeping you going? Sometimes it's how do we get through this so we can celebrate it at the end? So activating the friendship so you can use it in those really difficult times, but also leaning on the friendship, right? Like you said, they were friends before. They talked about how they were friends before. Like Steph also offered for Nina to come and live with her, right? When all of this got really heavy. That to me is beautiful. The one thing that stood out to me even through the weekend from this interview with the both of them was the idea of courage and love. And I think we've heard some of this in bits and pieces from a lot of the interviews that we've had in these last few months. This idea of both courage and love, getting people through really tough times, helping them not lose their shit. That just really stood out to me. And I joked after our conversation that listening to Nina was like being in the room with a monk because her energy was really calming and the things that she said were just so inspirational and just, I don't know, it just filled my spirit. And then the venerable monks, and I think that's how you say it, came back to Fort Worth. Their homecoming walk was this weekend, and me and my daughter went to do that last mile and a half or mile walk with them. And I actually thought about Nina during that walk because it felt like all of those things were coming together and there was so much community. There was a lady standing on the back of a pickup truck and she was just thanking people. She was not an organizer for the walk, but she was standing on the back of a pickup truck and she was thanking the community for coming out and just being together and standing up for peace and love and having courage and being a part of doing what was right and asking people to look around and saying, we're all out here and we're all different and everyone is standing here and doing the right thing and being in the right place because we care about community. And that took me back to this conversation with Nina and Steph because all of that is right. And I think about what Heather says all the time. There are more of us than there are of them. And so that just all really comes together in moments like these where you need that extra push to say, we're doing the right thing. We're standing up for the right reasons and leaning on those friendships, activating those friendships to get us through really, really tough times is what we need. And Nina and Steph are doing that in a very, very, very real way. And I just thought that was really, really beautiful.
And they each have such different strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And tell like they have different personalities, different energies about them. And to me, that also represents how every single one of us have a role to play. Those monks have such an important role to play in terms of giving millions of people across this country hope, including you and your daughter and that woman who stood on that truck. Here you are, days later, like repeating what she said and how that made you feel. And we all, no matter who we are, no matter what personality we have, no matter where we are on the Enneagram, there's something all of us have to offer. And I think the sooner we can recognize that in ourselves and in each other, the sooner we get out of this mess.
I agree. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll have my conversation with Steph and Nina.
Enjoy the meditation, everyone.
Black women in the United States are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes than white women. And even worse, this is true across income, education, and geography. It's not a coincidence. It's the result of systemic racism, gaps in care, and policies that consistently fail Black mothers and families. Next Tuesday, February 24th at 7:30 p.m., we're holding a virtual event to learn more about what's causing this crisis. We'll hear from experts, and most importantly, we'll share ways that you can take action. You can learn more and RSVP by going to redwine.blue or by clicking the link in the show notes. Today, I am joined by 2 moms in Minnesota, Stephanie and Nina. Steph is the leader of a Trouble Nation group, and Nina is an immigrant from Somalia. And together, they've been standing up for their community against ICE. Welcome to the podcast, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
Nina, can you tell me a little bit, or both of you, can you tell me a little bit about how you met, how the two of you came together?
Our children were in the same elementary school, so they basically grew up together, so we connected like that. But because of what's happening now, it makes us even closer, and Stephanie inspires me. She's doing a lot of amazing things. I remember when first ICE was announced that they will be coming here, she was like, "You need to move into my house,"
That's true friendship right there.
Yes. So it reminds me that I'm not alone. People like Stephanie always makes me feel like I'm safe, I matter, and that makes me inspired.
So, Nina, you grew up in Somalia under brutal dictatorship, and your father was a political prisoner. What does it feel like for you to be here in America and think that your family was safe, but now you're facing this kind of danger? And maybe what are the conversations that you're having to have with your kids around that?
I have a daughter who can read my facial expressions, but I try to do my best to show her what courage means, how to be strong, just hug her. Because growing up, my mom used to do that. I felt like she gave me an abundance of love, even though she was struggling. My dad was in prison because of political, simply he believed in democracy during the Cold War. As a child, you may not understand politics, but you understand when your home doesn't feel safe. So now, Seeing our community afraid again is very painful. What hurts me most is how fear is affecting our daily life. I have seen elders miss dialysis just because they were too scared to leave their home. But I still believe in why we came here. We came for dignity, freedom, and liberty. And I don't want my children to grow up thinking fear is normal.
Mm-hmm. Steph, you've obviously had a very different upbringing than Nina, but you're here running a Trouble Nation group and standing up for your neighbors alongside her. What inspired you to get involved?
I think that even though we grew up differently, I feel that we have a lot of commonalities. I think when I have read up on your dad and his ability to, he was involved, right? He was always involved, and he was someone who you couldn't corrupt. They talk about how the dictator there wanted to corrupt him, and he wouldn't take it, so he went obviously to jail. I grew up in a small town in southwestern Minnesota, and my dad was extremely involved in all political stuff. You can't not do something today because the alternative is going to be so much worse if we don't. And I've been in activism for like over 15 years, part of the public education activism, and had some successful campaigns against high stakes testing, and so that's my area. And I've sat on panels. I've had media. I've done various things that way. I don't want to be in this fight, but I have to be. Looking forward to get back in the education one. But we don't have a choice because our children deserve better.
We talk about community often on this podcast and how being a part of that community, having that sense of connection is what helps to keep you sane, what helps to keep you moving forward in these really difficult times. I know you two are connected, so there's that bond there through your children and you have that friendship. But how has that helped you stay connected to your community and find that space of safety and help you not lose your shit a little bit?
um, we had someone come and speak around Minnesota is that, Minnesota nice. We all kind of just take care of each other. And when we see someone in our community being hurt, we're going to step in and we're going to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
We do meet in person. We hear a lot, like there's a group called Unidos Minnesota, and they're very much also about we need to meet in person. And so we touch base. Nina is the best hugger. She is the liaison for the local community, Somali community. So.
And my job is I kind of connect families with resources. I work with the school districts, community, public health. So that makes me get connected with a lot of community members. Mm-hmm. So when life gets heavy, I have a lot of people who inspire me every day. And that is a very powerful thing to get to know, and, that they stand with you, they listen to you, and they support you unconditionally.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's the beauty in the chaos that I've seen, right? Like Minnesota has felt very, very, very heavy these last few weeks. But that is the little piece of beauty that I've taken out of this is that like people stood up for one another. Like the community stood in the gaps, held hands, and were like, absolutely not together.
Once I was watching a bus stop and just kind of making sure. Then it was a place where a lot of maybe the Latino community was going. All of a sudden I'm watching and I see a caravan of cars behind the bus. And at first I was a little concerned, but then I realized it was the community there making sure that their children were protected. Right. And I just thought that was beautiful. And then last night, so Target, we've been pushing against Target because they are not supporting the Fourth Amendment by allowing ICE agents to come in. So last night we had they've had various protests. I think 21 people were arrested for civil disobedience last night at one of the Targets here. But we were walking around the parking lot, and there's a couple that was in a car that was following us with their no ICE. But then when we stopped at a public space, I saw her get out with a walker, and you could see that it was extremely hard for her to walk. But she took her sign and she was smiling And she walked across the street. There was a big puddle of water that she had to get over. And you could tell that walking was not something she could do very easy, but she was there. And you're right. Those are the stories that keep me grounded in this, because there is beauty in this horrific time.
Yeah. You've been friends for a while, for years, because your daughters go to the same school. And I'd love to hear more about how that friendship is sustaining you, how that friendship is keeping you going, and if that friendship has had to change since the ICE invasion this year.
Actually, it makes us closer
Mm-hmm.
because we're dealing with the same thing. And just when things get heavy, Stephanie is there. Like, what can we do? It just inspiring me to be stronger. I become more stronger and grateful that not only Stephanie, but the whole community is
Mm-hmm.
doing a lot of good things. There are some families who doesn't come out. People are collecting diapers,
Mm-hmm.
food, groceries, and delivering them to their homes. People in this community are making sure kids go to school safely.
Mm-hmm.
Some are riding the bus with kids just to make sure the pickup and drop off are safer. So all those things happening, it's just love is in the air. That's how I feel, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. I'm humbled because that's not true in the fact that Nina is the one that gives me the courage and the hope. And I think for me, when last year when we sat down and visited and I found out about who her father was and her life story, we're amongst royalty. I mean, these are bigger than life people. And the fact that, like if you read about him, he was incorruptible. You could not, he would not, he went to jail because he would not take bribes from the dictator. And so for me, it's just a sense of injustice that how dare you put down when you don't know the stories and you don't know what their sacrifices have been to support democracy.
Nina, you just saying like love is in the air just made me think like there's so much power in just like this positivity that you bring. There's just this natural aura of like love and I think you said it, courage and love. And I'm really, really just sort of moved by that. And I was not expecting it.
She lives that. You see that's who she is every single day.
What do you think gives you that? I mean, you've been through so much. Steph is talking about the things that your family has been through, the things that your father has gone through. Clearly, there's that, just innate integrity that your family has. But this level of like courage and love and all of the things that you're experiencing, your family is experiencing, and you're still showing up to this conversation with this level of just love and brightness. Tell me more about where that comes from.
When I think of a week or two ago, when people protest in, was it minus 25?
I was there.
Minnesota?
Not the kind of weather I go out in. I'm just going to tell you that.
You're missing out.
I live in Texas. I'm not going outside. It's negative 20 anything.
Like, that's what Minnesota is all about. Like, those things inspires me really. In this community, we pray together, we share resources one another, we take care of each other, and that inspires me. Everybody is trying to help and stand up for their next door neighbor and putting all their time and effort to ask, how can I help? The amount of text messages I'm getting from all walks of life, how can we help? Words cannot say how I feel about that. And that makes me want to do more. It's amazing how people are sacrificing their energy and time, and we are all in this together and feeling this fear, but it turned out to be a strength and inspiration and gratefulness and kindness and love. So it's amazing. I feel abundance every night when I go to bed.
That makes my heart so happy. And I can definitely tell you that that is the America that I want to live in, is the one that like you're describing there. So I am grateful for the energy and just the presence that you bring, because that's the place that I want to live, where people care for and think about their neighbors and their friends and people around them, regardless who they are. It's very moving.
Feel like a princess. I have coworkers who, when we hear there was activity going on, I mean, these two gentlemen, one, drive me my car, and another one was driving behind us just to make sure they bring me home safe.
I love it. I love it. I love that you felt like a princess too. You should. As you should, Nina.
She is.
You
She is
are a
right.
princess.
I'm so grateful.
Everyone
And,
should feel that.
the humanity. I remember growing up when my dad was a political prisoner. United States human rights were the ones who advocated and bring him home after 9 years in prison. And I see that now. So it's amazing.
Steph, I don't think I asked you how you talk to your kids about ICE.
I think part of it is we do things and we don't necessarily always talk things.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked them, and I didn't realize this, but my middle child said she did have a dream of getting shot.
Yikes.
But then also, like, my oldest, she was just saying, she goes, it's scary. It's really scary. She goes, but the alternative is so much worse. I mean, if you're not fighting and no one's fighting, we're going to live in a society that's so much worse. And so, she just said, like my dad's birthday he passed away 3 years ago. And she sent me a message saying, hey, it's his birthday. And I go, yeah, and I'm so glad he's not living today because he would just be a mess. And she goes, but Mom, he'd be so proud of you.
Mm-hmm. What do you think people can do to keep pushing us forward? Everyone doesn't have the same strength, right? Someone wants to be out on the front lines and someone is a little more introverted. They want to be in the background doing something. What do you say to people who want to get involved and do something and they just feel like they need to be a part of helping? What would you recommend?
I think like through Trouble Nation, I'm finding, like you talked about, people who are introverts, they write
Mhm.
amazing letters.
Yeah.
They're great at writing letters. And then they'll share the letters so that we can all get ideas and then go, okay, then I'll write that to Target or I'll do this.
And I would say share stories, what
Mhm.
you're going through. There's a lot of people that is going through a lot of horrible experiences. Share their stories, get to know people.
Yes, most
Yeah.
definitely.
So Minneapolis hasn't been in the news as much recently, but that doesn't mean everything is fine. I know this afternoon ICE has announced that they're planning to leave soon.
Are they though?
What is the actual situation on the ground right now?
I think that a lot of people I talk to are very leery.
Mhm.
I think that there's not a trust. Like the trust has been broken.
Yeah,
I will believe when I see it on the ground.
Yeah, which I think means that you can expect us to keep pushing back.
absolutely. Nina and Steph, this year has been really, really hard on all of us, but especially the people in Minnesota, especially the people in Minneapolis. What keeps you going? What is helping you to not lose your shit?
I think faith, family, the best community ever. That's where I get my strength.
And I always like when you're in part of the fight and then you meet someone, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to celebrate with these people afterwards. That's one of my ways of not losing it, by saying, okay, I can't wait to have a party at the very end of this.
I believe fear will not define Minnesota's story. Our courage and our love for each other will define Minnesota.
See, there you go again with the inspiration.
Thank you.
You guys have been beautiful. I feel inspired. I feel grateful for having you both on today. So thank you so much for joining me and for sharing this energy and your spirit and sharing your story. And I think our listeners will be very grateful too.
Thank you so much.
How to Not Lose Your Shit is a podcast from Red, Wine, and Blue. It's hosted by Katie Paris and LaFonda Cousin and produced by Amy Thorstensen. To learn more about Red, Wine, and Blue, you can find us on social media, on the Red Wine and Blue app or on our website at redwine.blue.
Look around, there's something going down, but we're looking up. No matter how they try to take us down, we're gonna keep it up. We move with confidence, we're making a difference wherever we are. Good trouble is not too far. We've got the fire, we've got the grit, through the thick of it. So powerful we are. So powerful we are. So if you see us coming, just know we're making a change and we're not running. No, we're not going away. We stand together and we can stop the rain. Just know that if we came to make a change. Make a change, make a change, make a change. Oh yes, we came to make a change. Make a change, make a change, make a change, make a change. Oh yes, we came to make a change. Together, side by side, troublemakers, heads held high. Oh, the journey may be long, but we still keep singing our song. So if you see us coming, just know we're making a change and we're not running. No, we're not going away. We stand together, and we can stop the rain. Just know that if we came to make a change. If you see us coming, just know we're making a change and we're not running. No, we're not going away. We stand together, and we can stop the rain. Just know that if we came to make a change. Make a change, make a change, make a change. Oh yes, we came to make a change. Make a change, make a change, make a change, make a change. Oh yes, we came to make a change. R-W-B. We came to make a change. R-W-B. We came to make a change.